about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Soda is bad. We keep hearing this. Soda is bad. Do I drink soda? Yeah, sometimes. Why would I drink soda if I'm a doctor and I know it's bad? I don't know if it's because of the bubbly. I don't know if it's because it's diet. And so I need something sweet without the calories. But these drinks can increase your risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, even cancer. Apologize, my volume is... See, there's even Dr. Drew talking about it. So why do we keep drinking it? Why did we, as humans, evolve from being hunter-gatherers, where you would grab a nut, grab some fruit, eat a piece of zebra, to now people are drinking 2 liters of diet soda a day and having diet soda addictions. What happened? Was it the Coca-Cola commercials? Now, it's very interesting. I wasn't a big soda drinker because we couldn't afford it. It was expensive. We could afford Tang. So my family would get like a big thing of Tang, my grandmother would, and take my water, put a spoonful in it to make it sweet. But soda was expensive. I remember one time drinking a whole can. My father had a 6-pack, and I drank a whole can, and he was like, "You can't do that. That's supposed to last us. You were supposed to pour just a little bit." And it wasn't even about the health. It was about the cost of the soda. But I grew up in the desert, southern Nevada, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. And so when it got hot and you would see those commercials for, Coca-Cola, I like to teach the world to sing. Although that was actually a little bit, the Coca-Cola I think I had was, the sun will always shine, the birds always sing. As long as there is Coke, there's always a real thing. So those Coca-Cola commercials were like, we're just, and I'm like, okay. And then you would see the Pepsi challenge in the 80s. You would see people go and do the Pepsi challenge. And I have no preference, but I did the Pepsi challenge and I picked Coke twice. We got ourselves with the media, with commercials, with marketing, to the point where now we have to have a Coke, a burger and a Coke, chicken sandwich and a Coke. Fast food helped. Yeah, we have a meal deal. And the default meal deal is your Coke. You want anything different than Coke? You want Diet Coke? You want iced tea? You want lemonade? And there's other drinks out there like water, Gatorade, Pedialyte, but it's not the same. And we have to figure out how to get off of that, because even if we're doing better from a standpoint of what RFK Jr. wants to do in terms of getting like artificial sweeteners and ingredients and other bad things out of our food, if people are asking for soda and looking for it, it's a problem. Now, dirty soda is something that has now been huge. I remember, oh my gosh, there was it Swenson's? I remember in the 80s, there was a restaurant. It wasn't like Farrell's, but it would offer dirty sodas. They didn't call them dirty sodas. They would add cherry syrup or vanilla syrup or chocolate syrup to your soda pop. So they call them dirty sodas. Or they'll add fruit juices or garnishes. Like a Shirley Temple is what, 7 and grenadine? It makes somebody's soda drink now like a mocktail or a dessert. The problem with the dirty sodas is that could be about 400 or 500, almost 1,000 calories a pop. American Heart Association does not want you to have that much sugar. And I'm seeing ads. I think I was watching Fox News last week, and they were showing how to make dirty sodas. It was a company doing that. And I understand a sweet drink is nice, but no, I learned early on, if I want to eat a burger later or I want to have a piece of steak, I am not going to waste my calories on a drink. But unfortunately, these drinks are so sugary that it could really worsen your pancreas's ability to release proper amounts of insulin and manage your blood sugar. And it could make people diabetic. They, according to one physician, this is Dr. Polinsky Wade, she said the combo of rapidly absorbed sugar plus cream can cause sharp blood sugar spikes and crashes, driving hunger, fatigue, and higher insulin demands. Now, they think it might have originated in Utah in a specialty soda shop called Swig. And it was, they said reportedly, people in the Mormon faith seeking an alternative to coffee. Now, I find that kind of fascinating because the Mormons I know don't drink soda. They're very smart when it comes to, their diet. I'm hearing they can drink Dr. Pepper, but don't quote me on that. I'm still learning. So interestingly, they say this dirty soda trend is widely credited to Swig, a Utah-based soda shop found in 2010. They say the concept reportedly gained popularity in Utah, where many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints abstain from coffee and alcohol, helping create demand for customizable non-alcoholic drinks. Yeah, but I as I said before, I thought that they weren't, they don't usually drink soda. And one thing about the LDS community is, they looked at diet just like Judeo-Christian and Muslim communities. What are we putting in our body that helps our body, and helps our soul? And soda pop, no, it's a no-no. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. The call is free, the consultation is free, and you can speak with a live agent right now. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident of any kind, call now to find out if you have a case and how much you could potentially get.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-679-0800. That's 800-679-0800. 800-679-0800. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states. Not available in California.
here back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I watch a lot of sports. I've probably in the last decade, really now start to follow. I used to really never like watching baseball. I like the Dodgers, but it was really hard to watch 9 innings. It was kind of slow for me, especially since I really liked football. But I appreciate it all. I really do appreciate sports. I miss playing them. That was really, really fun. I remember I was playing softball with somebody, and I was able to get her out, and she was pregnant. So she got 2 outs. It was kind of nice. But I was fairly athletic. Nowhere near where I could ever do what the WNBA is doing and all that. But the one thing that I find very, very frustrating is when I want to watch a game, I can't just turn on ABC or NBC or Fox and watch the game. I am spending, I don't know how much money on bundles and packages, and I still don't get the Dallas Cowboy games. And I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. To get every Dallas Cowboy game, I'm being told it's going to cost about $600 with all the different streaming packages I have to get. Because Thursday Night Football is on Amazon. So if there's a game on Amazon Prime, you'll have to make sure you have Prime, which I do. And then you have your Sunday NFL. But if they're not going to play that game in that area because I'm not in Texas, I get a lot of the Raiders games, which I'm fine with because I'm in Nevada, but I still want to see the Dallas Cowboys. And then Monday Night Football is the NFL station, and it drives you crazy. And in Nevada, we really, as I said, got spanked because DirecTV and Scripps had a falling out. So when you turn on Channel 13 or ABC to watch the Golden Knights, who made the Stanley Cup Finals again and should win it, although the Carolina Hurricanes are really giving them a run for their money, you can't watch it on local TV. Now, everybody says, well, go and get the antennas. Go back to antenna TV. I got a TV that's flat screen and it's on the fireplace. I don't know how to hook up an antenna. I mean, I guess you can. So I think I have to buy the rabbit ears, and then I guess I could stick it in and then try to put it outside. Maybe I could use Starlink. But it shouldn't be this hard. Well, fans have been complaining for a while that they can't see their game. And I see both sides in that, everything these days have paywalls. I mean, for you to get your, newspaper, you used to have to pay for a subscription. You didn't get a newspaper for free. You would have to pay and buy that newspaper. And so for these companies to now be expected to give their news for free, which is another reason why I think in our primaries in Nevada, some people didn't know a lot of the candidates because one of the main news outlets, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, has a paywall. And I mean, they deserve to get paid for their news, right? Because we saw a lot of journalists go out of work and a lot of papers go under. But the problem is if somebody has to pay, they're not going to watch it. And so it's a double-edged sword for the NFL, for the NBA, for the NHL, for the MLB, for now a lot of these major sports entities, because if you want the fans involved and engaged, they need to be able to watch the game. And somebody could say, but then Dr. Dahlia, if they're really good fans, they should just buy tickets and go to the game themselves. You can't. Have you ever tried buying a Raiders ticket? And the Raiders, we always get first draft pick. We haven't been doing that well. And Raiders tickets are hundreds of dollars. Golden Knights tickets, hundreds of dollars. Now, every now and then you could try to get a little bit of I was very lucky to get a playoff ticket. Not as expensive because I bought it hours before the game online, but it's not practical. So the NFL is now under scrutiny. I'm not sure why it's just the NFL, because I think there's also issues with other sports enterprises. But the NFL is notorious for, if you want to watch Thursday Night Football, you got to go on Prime. If you want to watch this game, you got to go on ESPN. And so now Congress is looking at, is this legitimate? Yeah, I mean, are you, doing, anti-competitive sort of pricing? And is this, unfortunately, doing a monopoly on people's access to the games? So where this comes from is the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 antitrust exemption. So apparently back in the 60s, the exemption was granted to prevent financial collapse by allowing teams to negotiate media deals collectively. So basically what would happen is if you had the New York Giants, how they have money to get to be on TV. Whereas if you had a smaller team, I don't know when the Oilers came out, but if they didn't have those sort of funds, they couldn't get coverage, and then they wouldn't be able to grow, etc. So in the 1960s, they were able to give an exemption, allowing teams to negotiate media deals, so smaller teams had just as much advantage as big teams. Well, now you have multi-billion-dollar streaming deals with NFL. Is that really alignment with the law's intent of keeping games widely available on free TV? So the Department of Justice has now launched a probe into the league's broadcast practices. NFL Sunday Ticket, all sorts of things. I mean, this is tricky. You also have a lot of restaurants and bars upset because people come in going, I'm here to watch the game. And they use that to draw people in. And if they can't get the game, they're stuck. I can't tell you how many places did not have the Golden Knights game. And people are like, well, where do we go? And the watch parties were full. I was lucky because I was in New York and then I was on a plane. So I was there, but like I said, and then I paid extra for the ESPN bundle. But the average person, they're like, well, to heck with this. Now, on the flip side, what are we supposed to get free? I mean, the question is, if you are a fan, should you be able to access these games for free? Is it on the sports team to do that? They don't have to do anything for free. They really don't. This is a free country. But if they're smart, right, they get you involved because then you buy gear. You go to the NFL store. You buy tickets. You advertise for them. We are walking marketing campaigns for the teams we love. And so it's now, should a restaurant pay for the stream because they're making money bringing people in? That's what I think. If you are making money showing the game, if you're, let's say, charging a cover, if you're making money, I think you should pay to have access to that game. But for the average person that on a Sunday wants to sit home with the kids and watch football and support their team, I think it would be nice for it to be back on broadcast TV. But the thing, though, with the local TV stations is those are starting to also fall by the wayside. I rarely watch the local stations anymore. So like Scrubs, the new Scrubs came out. I didn't know it was on regular TV. You used to have to watch regular TV, right? To get your Friends and your Seinfeld, you have to watch NBC. So apparently Scrubs is ABC. And I stream on Hulu. I guess I went to my Disney Plus, which is bundled with Hulu and ESPN. I hit the button. I was able to see Scrubs. I rarely go to those stations unless it is for sports. And so is local media starting to lose some of its relevance? I don't ever want it to because local is very important. I am blown away at how many people live in Southern Nevada and have no idea who our mayor is, no idea what's going on and who, because they just don't access social media. I mean, I even forgot who our mayor was until somebody reminded me going, because I seriously am not watching local like I used to. You used to have to. And now I just get everything online. So, times are changing. And I don't want to see NFL, or anybody going to jail or being accused of antitrust. But things have gotten a little ridiculous because you can watch the games on 3, 5, 13, whatever my stations were, 8. you could watch those games. And now it's you have to pay to see the game. And with the Golden Knights, I mean, now with the Stanley Cup Finals, when we help support the Golden Knights and we all feel a little responsible for, being there for our guys, it kind of hurts a little. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, we are back on Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dolly, a doctor spelled out. Facebook, The Dr. Dolly Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So some of my friends have asked if my husband and I are going to renew our vows, our wedding vows. Like, is that a thing? Is that something I need to do? I've been to some parties where the vows were renewed, and it's really, really nice because it's like another wedding. I guess it allows people to go to your wedding if they couldn't, but you're older and you can't drink like you used to. Actually, it's really helpful if you drank too much at your wedding and you really don't remember your wedding. But I'm not setting up or planning a renewal of our vows. Because, in case there's a statute of limitations on some of them, why? I get the clock ticking again. I mean, honestly, Michael Fassbender could come back to Las Vegas because he's in Las Vegas, to film. And I if my vow has an expiration on it, I just want to make sure I have options. But hubby and I are going to be hitting our 30th year together, which is kind of hard for me to say. Not because I don't love him, I love him, but because I've been telling y'all I'm in my 30s. So this is kind of, how do I celebrate my 30th wedding anniversary? I'm sure not celebrated by renewing the vows. If he doesn't remember what I said, he can't hold me to it. So we're good. But, I'm learning a lot from the younger people as we're planning a wedding, for my son and soon-to-be daughter-in-law. Yeah, I know. I don't know how she got past me. I honestly, she's tolerating me. I don't know how she tolerates my son, but she's tolerating me. She's really, really good. She's very patient. So yeah, I'm just so grateful. I hope she never leaves. I'm really on good behavior. Oh my gosh. I rarely text. I rarely call. I'm like, whatever you need, because again, I just want to be the best mother-in-law ever. And sometimes the best mother-in-law is being out of the way. But I love that they've been including me on, looking at how to do weddings and I get to see the places they're looking at and get to. Now, I have done a lot of party planning and I have organized events. So I can very quickly see if somebody's getting screwed over. Like, for example, there was this one place that I wanted to do an event at until I saw that they were going to charge us $2 to $3 a glass. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, you could bring your own alcohol. But the bartender, and you could pay the bartender, you're going to pay a bartender fee, you're going to tip, but we're going to be charging you $2 to $3 a glass. Well, I've been to parties and people go through 4 or 5 glasses each. that could really be expensive. So, these are things you just want to kind of pick up on and watch for and to get the overall amount. And when I got married with my husband, I only had $2,500 in the bank. Why? Well, I waited tables. I was in medical school. I waited tables. I used that money to help put, my brother through college and, other things and help the family out. And I used it to pay off my truck. So I only had $2,500. So when it came time to get married, I figured we were just going to do kind of a city hall, something small. I didn't have a lot of family. I had some medical student friends that were going to come. So I was only going to have about 20 people on my side. But because his side was going to be more extravagant, now, when my mother-in-law said, oh, I found the most amazing flowers, and she's really, really good, at planning, and she has good taste. The problem is the flower bill was $2,500. I'm like, that's the only money I have. That's all I had. So I actually borrowed. There were these loans at about 14% that as a medical student or resident, you could borrow to pay for if you needed extra money in residency. Because in residency, you were only making about $30,000 a year, and you were on average about $1.50 an hour. And so I borrowed. I was in medical school at the time, so I knew I wasn't going to be making money as a resident. And so I borrowed about $14,000 to pay for my wedding. Now, $14,000 was a lot of money, and I did not want to be any more in debt, but we had to have a wedding, and we wanted to keep people, have people happy, and make it work for everybody, and go on a honeymoon, and it was good. It was good, but oh my gosh, I tell everybody, don't spend that kind of money. And I know some of you are like, oh my God, how did you get off only paid $14,000? I'm still surprised that it cost that much. I'm really blown away. But luckily, my in-laws helped, and it was but still, we had to borrow money. And I talked to these younger people, and they're like, we're not going to go into debt. We're not going to borrow money for our wedding. I go, good for you, because you guys would need to buy a house. I talk to a lot of younger people who are getting married and looking at things. They're like, you want to buy a house, you need a car, there's a lot of job insecurity. Don't borrow. But then how do you do this? How do you make a wedding or a dream wedding for somebody without, breaking the bank? And so, there's a lot of tricks that the problem you have and that you need to do is you need to tell traditional older individuals that have the idea of like the royal wedding to shut the hell up. Okay. And you got to get those people dissected out of the process. So I remember listening to people going, well, it always has to be plated. You have to have a plated wedding. If you do buffet, it's fine. Your guests just want to eat. They don't care if they have to get up and do a buffet versus plated. You don't have to have a plated. Yeah, maybe plated is nice. But when people remember your wedding, depending on how much alcohol they drink, I don't think they're going to remember. They'll remember if the food is good. So make sure the food is good. Make sure there's plenty of options, that there's vegetarian options, there's gluten-free, things like that. But you could definitely do buffet. The alcohol is always the most expensive with any party you do, whether it's a graduation party or whatever. Although I just did a mini graduation party at Parkway Tavern, and they were fantastic. And the bar tab was way cheaper than I expected. They did a very, very good job. So if you're looking forward to do a party, they had good food, good bar tab, but your bar is going to be your most expensive cost. But there's ways to limit that. You could say, look, okay, we're not going to do premium bottles. All right. And I know people want Tito's and Grey Goose. No. Okay. Just use ski or whatever. Yeah. There's ways to, Jack Daniels is fine. Okay. That's as fancy as we're going to get, Jack Daniels. Or you could do beer and wine. Or you could, do champagne toasts and things like that and say, look, we're not doing alcohol. Okay. We don't want you guys falling on the dance floor. We want you remembering the event. We're going to have champagne, but that's about all the alcohol you're going to get. What are people going to do? They're going to walk away? In terms of entertainment, a good DJ, bands are beautiful and bands are great. And we had a band, I believe, which was great because then they accompanied me when I was singing. And they also helped us do the Macarena really well. But, and a band was really, really nice, but it's expensive. You don't necessarily need to do that. I like hiring bands because I love musicians and I want to give them work. But if a DJ's cheaper, go for the DJ. In terms of decor, everybody thinks you have to have flowers, live flowers, Nobody, I mean, I might smell the flour because, just in case one of my kids or family members farts and I'm trying to breathe something that smells nice. But for the most part, nobody really deals with centerpieces. I've done parties where I made my own centerpieces. When my son got bar mitzvahed, he wanted the Deadliest Catch theme. So I got these big glass vases. I don't like using the word vase. I had fish in them. And then I decorated them with like little pirate stuff and some algae or the seaweed or whatever. And so we had fish. Now, true, the people had to watch, the fish poop during the eating, but we had fish. And I thought that was pretty cool. You could very easily get these long vases, fill them up with water, put a little food coloring. So find the color of the theme of the party, whether it's a quinceañera or wedding or whatever. And let's say it's peach or let's say it's whatever. You get the food coloring, you put that in there, and then you add little candles on top and put the beads in there. You could do your own. And I understand there's party planners out there and there's people that make a lot of money for that, doing this. There's ways to do it that save you money. And you got to find a place that works with you. So find a place that allows you to either maybe bring in your alcohol or bring in your own decor or whatever. But you don't have to have a very, very expensive wedding, okay? And, as long as it's good food, good fun, good entertainment, good music, and the couple's fun, there's a way to do this. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So, 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony has been convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison. The jury deliberated pretty quickly on this in the death of Austin Metcalf. This happened in Collin County in Frisco, Texas, where in April 2025, Carmelo Anthony was allegedly sitting in a tent belonging to the opposing, team in Kukendall Stadium. Carmelo Anthony was asked to leave, from what we understand, multiple times. When Austin Metcalf asked him to leave and then tried to remove him himself, from what we understand, he might have shoved him off. Carmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his bag and then stabbed Metcalf in the chest. And he dies in his brother's arms. The defense said that this was a split second of fear and chaos, and that Anthony was acting in self-defense. Now, the jury rejected the self-defense claim. After about 3 hours of deliberation, found him guilty of murder. After Anthony's mom spoke on the suspect's defense, he was given a 35-year prison sentence. Now, he was going to get anywhere from, I believe, 20 to 99. So they gave him a 35-year prison sentence. Protests, however, have erupted. And there were some physical altercations. Police had to arrest, from what I understand, some people yesterday as demonstrations outside a Texas courthouse got pretty violent. And, this has definitely brought the conversation back to how are young kids, teenagers, getting themselves into these altercations that involves somebody being stabbed in the heart. I mean, it's frightening. And so, did Carmelo Anthony really feel his life was in jeopardy? Did he have to bring a weapon to the game? Did he, there's so many things that need to be kind of discussed and evaluated with this. Did he struggle with mental illness such that he does not follow requests? It's very common that if you are in a team's bench or area that you need to move. I'm also wondering, where was security? If you have a school function, usually security ensures that nobody can mess with the opposing team or the other players. Why did he feel like he needed to have a knife in his backpack? Do kids commonly carry knives in their backpacks to school because they fear, they're going to need to defend themselves? So many questions. And this really opened up, I think, a lot of older people's eyes as to, we really need to look at what's going on with our youth. Now, unfortunately, there's been a lot of protests because they feel that the jury was not representative of the victim. I believe we're being told that 3 Black educators were dismissed from the jury, and the prosecution said, well, it's because they're educators, they're teachers, so they might be biased. I'm not exactly sure what happened, and I still don't understand what happened in this stadium tent, but Carmelo Anthony ends up stabbing one of the players who wanted him to move, and multiple witnesses said they asked him to move. Why didn't he move? Was it because of the rain? Why did he feel like he had to stab somebody in the chest? I think, to me, mental illness. This is somebody that might have been, could he have been under the influence? Could he have, but how does a young kid, he's only 19 years old. How does he go from, I'm being in an area I'm not supposed to be, I'm told to move, to I need to stab somebody? Is the average student homicidal? Do we have to teach people not to approach somebody because they could just turn around and stab you? There's so many questions here. So after looking at this case, I'm now assuming that the average person has a weapon in their backpack. That the average student feels like, just in case there's a school shooting or something, or because bullies, whatever, I need to have a weapon to protect me. I felt like that once, and I went to 12 schools. And I was in a high school once where a really, really bad fight broke out in the locker room. And because I had gone to this school senior year, I had to take an extra year of PE, because the other school I was in Arizona, you only needed 1 year of PE. I guess to graduate, you needed 2 years of PE. So I'm with a bunch of freshmen, and I'm a senior, and a very bad fight breaks out. And I see a knife. Now, this was, in the late 80s when you would have bottles of soda. So I was ready to crack my bottle so I could at least have a weapon. of some sort if I needed to. Yeah, and so the idea that, well, schools aren't dangerous and kids don't feel like they need to protect themselves. I mean, I'd really like to know, why did Carmelo Anthony have a knife on him? Was he planning to stab somebody, or does he feel like he had to always walk around with the knife because he's always around danger? And then, are we checking everybody's backpack? Anytime I go to a game, anytime we can't bring purses, we're always being evaluated for weapons. Do we need to do that so that our athletes don't get stabbed? I mean, these people get really, really rowdy. They get really mean. Remember we saw that cop push one of the, was it a Texas Longhorn game? I forget. But, we saw a cop strong arm or shoulder butt one of the players that was coming off the field. I mean, people really lose their minds in sports. Do we need better security? Do we need to protect the bench of the other players? Do we have this attitude now where if somebody asks you nicely, can you leave? And then they say, look, I need you to leave. Do kids just not know that, okay, if you're not supposed to be in an area you're not supposed to be in, you leave, or, you don't escalate it to the point where you guys are stabbing each other? This is a horrible, horrible, tragic case. And I don't think the average student or the average athlete is expecting to be stabbed by another student. And this case is now reminding us that we need to warn our kids that, there's dangers that can lurk around them. And that, before you accost somebody, understand that it might just not be another kid that's going to call you a name or give you the finger. It could be somebody who decides to pull a weapon out and stab you in the heart. So, Carmelo Anthony going to jail for 35 years. I think we need to, before he does make parole or is able to go out, what exactly happened? Did he have, and if this is mental illness, I mean, if where just something can trigger him, where he decides to stab, is he going to be, is he going to be rehabilitated properly? When we put people in jail, I really feel strongly about we need to figure out the root of what that is. I know people could fake and, manipulate the parole board and things like that. But, if somebody did, truly feel that they were threatened, being asked to move away from an area they weren't supposed to be at, and they felt their only recourse was stabbing somebody in the heart, what's wrong with them? I just don't understand. And schools need more security. This is evidence to the fact that these kids are dealing with tensions themselves, and we need security that can, neutralize any of these threats or any of these conflicts and deter them. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.